let's talk about some awesome crochet patterns that were released this March. Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with y'all today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about size inclusive garments. We're going to talk about accessories and patterns for the home. So all of these patterns are going to be free, either as a download or on the designer's website. And of course, I will link everything below. And also, these patterns were all released this March, so you may have seen some, you may have not seen some. So let's jump right in. Let's start with patterns that are garments. Okay, so the first one we have is the t-shirt, or the crochet t-shirt, designed by Deborah Newton and Cheryl Marolis. Y'all know me by name. Y'all know me with names by now. Anyway, they designed this for Cascade Yarns. And so this calls for Aran weight yarn. And the bust circumference ranges between 32 to 62 inches. And in centimeters, that is 81.3 to 157.5. It has 4 to 6 inches of positive ease. And in centimeters, that is 10.2 to 15.3. So it does call for a H hook, which is a 5 millimeter. And of course, your tension, your gauge may be different than the designer. So you may have to go up a hook size or go down a hook size. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to be talking about the suggested hook size. Now, in order to make this t-shirt, you will need to know a few skills. You'll need to know how to chain, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, and slip stitch. So those are some really nice basic stitches that you'll need to know. And this sweater is crocheted in pieces. You're going to have your front piece, your back piece, and the sleeves. And the pieces are then sewn together. So if you don't mind seaming a garment, this will be a really good project for you. Okay, our next one is the Cambrie cropped cape, designed by Rachel Milsner of Evelyn and Peter Crochet. So this one calls for worsted weight yarn. And the bust circumference isn't listed, but the size range is between extra small to 5X. So it's a nice size range. The recommended hook size is a USI hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. You will need to know how to chain, foundation double crochet, single crochet, and slip stitch. And this pattern is worked flat seamlessly, and it is made using one large piece starting from the bottom of the back panel. So you start at the back panel and you'll eventually make your way out to one large piece, and that's how it is started. All right, so let's jump to our next project, or pattern rather. It is the Cozy Collared Vest, designed by Rachel Alford of Cozy Nooks Design. So this one calls for bulky weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 30 to 62 inches. And in centimeters, that is 76.2 to 157.5. This one calls for a 9 millimeter, which is a US M or N, depending on your crochet hook set. And the skills you'll need to know include chain, single crochet 2 together, and slip stitch. So this one is crochet bottom up. It is worked in panels. You're going to have your back panel, and then you're going to have 2 front panels. Also, the panels are seamed together once it is finished, and the collar and the armhole finishing are worked directly onto the vest for a very nice clean finish. Okay, let's jump to our next pattern. We have the Caragh crochet pattern. It's a cardigan, and it is designed by Jennifer Renaud of A Crochet Simplicity. And this one calls for worsted weight yarn. And the bust circumference ranges between 28 to 62 inches. And in centimeters, that is 71.1 to 157.5. So you will need 2 crochet hook sizes for this one. You'll need a G hook, which is a 4mm, and you will need a J hook, which is a 6mm. And in terms of ease, this has 6 to 8 inches of positive ease, and that's 15.2 to 20.3 centimeters. So you're going to want to think about ease when you're choosing a pattern, because that's really going to impact the shape and the fit of your garment. Okay, so you will need to know how to do a few skills. You'll need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, extended single crochet, 2 together, yarn over, half double crochet, slip stitch, and back loop only. If you're looking for a pattern that has a ton of skills in it, this is the pattern for you. You will definitely learn some new techniques. All right, in terms of the construction of this pattern, it is worked from the bottom hem to the shoulders. And first you'll crochet the wide ribbed bottom edge. Then you'll crochet the body onto the long edge of the ribbed edging. So you're going to do your ribbing edging first, and then you're going to start the body. And once you reach the bottom of the shoulders, once you reach the bottom of the armholes, you split it into 3 panels and crochet the upper right panel, then the back panel, and then the upper left panel. So this has a very, very interesting construction. All right, let's jump to our next pattern. We have the classic chunky cardigan designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns. This one calls for bulky weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 36.5 to 72 inches. And in centimeters, that is 92.7 to 182.9. So you will need a US K hook for this one, and that is a 6.5mm. And you will need to know quite a few skills for this one. So you'll need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, seaming with the mattress stitch and the whip stitch. So that's 2 different techniques that you'll need to know to seam up the garment. Also, you'll need to know how to create buttonholes, do some increases and decreases, front post double crochet, and back post double crochet. And as I always say, if there's any techniques that you're not familiar with, you can always go check out a YouTube tutorial. There's YouTube tutorials for every stitch imaginable. So don't feel like you can't do something because you don't know how to do the particular stitch. Okay, so in terms of the construction of this cardigan, it is worked in pieces from the bottom up, and it is seamed. It features afterthought pockets. So I really like the pockets. I think that pockets are essential on a cardigan. All right, let's move on to accessories. Okay, so the first accessory we have is the mesh scarf, which is designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns, and it calls for sport weight yarn. Now the finished size has a width of 76 inches or 193 centimeters, and the depth in the center of the scarf is 8.5 inches or 21.6 centimeters. So that gives you an idea of the size of this scarf. Now you will need an F hook, which is a 3.75mm crochet hook, and you'll need to know how to chain, increase, decrease, single crochet, and double crochet. So this scarf is worked flat sideways from end to end. The first half increases to the maximum width, which is the center depth, and then the second half decreases. So your first half, you're going to be doing your increases to the center, and then once you get to the center, you're going to do your decreases down to the other point. So that's a really nice construction. All right, the next one we have is the textured star stitch amigurumi. Wait a minute, let me start over again. This one is hard for me for some reason. Textured star stitch origami bag designed by Kinga Ordum of My Hobby is Crochet. Phew, that was a mouthful. But this one calls for bulky weight yarn, and the finished size without the strap is approximately 13 by 4 inches wide and 7.1 inches high. And in centimeters, that's 34 by 18. And that is at the lowest point. And it is 13 inches or 33 centimeters at the highest point. You will need an eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And you will need to know how to chain, single crochet, half double crochet, work in the back loop only, slip stitch, and do slip stitch 3 together. It is worked from one large triangle using the textured star stitch pattern. Let me know if you've ever used the textured star stitch pattern. I've never used that technique before. The rectangle is folded origami style and sewn to create the bag shape. It is crocheted with sturdy 3 millimeter nylon cords, and it is finished with a simple strap and optional leather closure. So you will get to use cording with this one, so that's really cool. The next one we have is the sideways sampler shawl designed by Tamara Kelly of Moogly. And this pattern calls for a fingering weight yarn. And the finished size is 62 by 51 by 31. And in centimeters, that is 157.5 by 129.5 by 78.7. You will need an H hook, which is a 5 millimeter. And the skills you will need include chain stitch, puff stitch, and double crochet 2 together. And it is worked side to side. And because this is a sampler, each section introduces a new stitch. That's what makes it a sampler. And so I feel like because of that, it really keeps you interested and motivated. Okay, so up next we have the Raffia Bag designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns. And it is a bulky pattern that it calls for bulky weight yarn. And the finished size has a height of 12 inches, not including the straps, and that's 30.5 centimeters. The circumference of the bag is 28.75 inches or 73 centimeters. You will need an eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And to make this bag, you will need to know how to chain, single crochet, half double crochet, increase, decrease, work the magic ring, and whip stitch. And this bag is worked in continuous rounds from the bottom up. Okay, let's move on to our next one. We have the Wandering Mind Wrap designed by Emily Higgins. So this one is an Aran weight pattern, and it has one size, but it's easily customizable. You will need a K hook, which is a 6.5 millimeter, and you will need to know how to chain, half double crochet, and yarn over. So not a lot of techniques on that one. And the pattern has a simple stitch called the half double crochet in between. This was my first time ever hearing about this stitch, and this is basically when the half double crochets are worked in the space between the stitches of the previous row. And then an increase is worked along one edge to form the triangle shape. Okay, our next one is the Zipper Shopper Bag designed by Lisa Gertz of Free Crochet Patterns. This one is a DK weight yarn, and it comes in one size. You use a E-hook or 3.5 millimeter crochet hook for this one. And in order to make it, you will need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet 3 together, double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet 5 together, and magic ring. The base of the bag is a simple, solid granny square that creates a very sturdy bottom. And from there, you continue crocheting in an open ripple stitch that forms the middle section of the bag. And then after that, you crochet the handle. Let's talk about patterns for the home. All right, our first one is the Triangles Blanket designed by Amy Gunderson for Premier Yarns. And this one calls for super bulky yarn. The finished size is 50 inches or 127 centimeters wide, and that's 57 inches or 144.8 centimeters in length. You will need a 9mm, and that's either an M or an N. And in order to make this bag, you will need, or blanket rather, you will need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet, double crochet, and do the crossed double crochet stitch. I've done that stitch to make a garment before, and it's a really, really fun stitch. So for this pattern, you will be using Intarsia. I still have not done anything with Intarsia. I'm a little nervous, but I think I can do it, and I know you can too. So when changing from one color to the next, you work up to the final pull through a stitch, finishing with a new color. So they're basically trying to tell you how to do the Intarsia method. And also you use a separate ball of different color ball of yarn for each section, and then you add a border after you have finished assembling everything. So they make it sound easy. They do. They make it sound easy. It looks difficult, but hey, they have instructions here, and so that can definitely help us out. All right, our next project, or pattern rather, is the flower bucket hat designed by Krista Lynn of The Secret Yarnery. Now this one calls for worsted weight yarn, and it comes in 5 sizes, including newborn, small, medium, large, and extra large. You will need a J hook or a 6mm, and you will need to know how to chain or magic ring, slip stitch, double crochet, and treble crochet. So this hat is worked in the round, and it combines a classic bucket hat with a sweet daisy flower. So that's really, really cute. All right, our next pattern is the non-patch blanket designed by Amy Gunderson for Premier Yarns, and it calls for Aran weight. And there are 4 sizes available. You have baby size, throw size, queen, and king size. And it calls for an eye hook, which is a 5.5mm. And you will need to know how to chain, single crochet, double crochet, and seam with the mattress stitch. The blanket is made up of 9 patch squares and plain squares that are seamed together. And the 9 patch squares use the Intarsia method to chain or to change color. So the Intarsia is coming back, and then you add a border after you assemble all of it together. Okay, let's move on to our next pattern. It is the Focolare Blanket designed by the Crocheting Caragh for Expression Fiber Arts. Now this one calls for a lace weight. So for those of you out there that likes using lace weight yarn and very, very thin crochet hooks, this pattern is for you. All right, the finished size is 70 inches in length and 40 inches in width, and that is 178 centimeters by 102 centimeters, and that is the measurements for a blocked blanket. You will need an E-hook, which is a 3.5mm, and you will need to know how to single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, single crochet 2 together, and double crochet 3 together. And this pattern is free for a limited time, so get your copy today. Okay, so let's talk about what I am wearing. I am wearing the Cumberland tank. I was trying to say the Columbus tank for whatever reason. I don't even think there's such a thing. Anyway, this is the Cumberland tank designed by Alexander Tavel of 2 of Wands. I have made an entire video about the construction and how I made this and all of my notes. It's in a video. So I'm going to leave my Ravelry page link below, which has the video link in it as well. So definitely check that out. I love the color. You all know I love my purple. So I really do enjoy layering this. Today I'm layering it with a dress, but I also like to layer it with dress pants and jeans and just all all sorts of things. All right, so let me know, what were your favorite patterns today? Would you make any of these? Have you already seen some of these patterns? Maybe some of them were new to you. Let me know. Share with the class your thoughts. I would love to hear them. And also, I knit and I crochet, so I will be doing a knitting version of a March roundup as well. So these are going to be free patterns that I have found in March that are knitting patterns. All right, so let me know what you worked on while watching, or did you just chill? I would love to know. I love reading you all's comments. Thank you all so much for supporting my channel. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, bye!